We are running short on time. And at this point, the question is whether we will move forward together or split apart, whether we prefer posturing to action.
Of course, stern talk does not always produce deliverables. That was President Obama in Copenhagen today, yet another ball up in the air.
And David, the odds there are clearly on split apart. Top Line begins right now.
Hello and welcome to ABCNews.com's Top Line. Today from New York, I'm David Chalian.
And I'm Jonathan Karl.
Each weekday, we're bringing you the very latest political headlines, reporting, insight, analysis, everything you need and want to know about politics. Mr. Karl, our senior congressional correspondent, get us started today. What is your top line?
It's down to the wire in the Senate with a snowstorm bearing in on Washington and a liberal revolt brewing. It is the do or die time for the Senate health care bill. And guess what, David? We still do not have a final bill.
It's unbelievable. No final bill, no idea how much it costs, and yet guarantees from Democratic leadership that it'll all be wrapped up by Christmas. Nelson needles. Continuing on health care, Ben Nelson continues to needle the White House. He has not yet signed on to this abortion compromise language drafted by Bob Casey, the pro-life senator from Democrat from Pennsylvania. And John, without Ben Nelson firmly stating where he is, it is still unclear that they have the votes.
And that's why we don't have a bill yet. Ben Nelson is the new Joe Lieberman. And guess what, David? It is not just abortion. He is saying that he has concerns about the cost of this bill. He's got a whole range of concerns. He says even if the abortion stuff was taken care of, he's not there. So they have about 12 hours to figure out if they can actually get him. Now, next top line, is there something rotten in Denmark? For the second time in just 3 months, it seems that President Obama is poised to come back from a high-stakes trip to Copenhagen empty-handed. The first time, of course, was the Olympics. This time, it's climate change.
That's just not a good sign for the administration there. And it leads to this. Can he close? This is the narrative now taking hold. That is the question at the core of this troubling storyline for President Obama. He has a lot out there and nothing is a done deal yet. He can't seem to put any one of these big, huge issues to bed. And it is a really troubling storyline that has now taken hold for the Obama administration.
And that's why they're so desperate, David, to get this health care bill passed before the holiday break, because they think that if they just let it go, if they break another deadline, that this thing may fall apart completely.
Indeed. Let's start with health care. We are joined by the chairman of the Senate Republican Conference, Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican of Tennessee. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Sure. I want to begin in understanding, now that it seems there is no Medicare buy-in in this, there's no public option, so there is no government-run healthcare insurance company in this bill. I realize we haven't seen a bill, but in what we understand is there. What is it? That should sound attractive to you, should it not? Are those concessions not something that can start bringing you into this process at all?
Well, the answer is no. In the first place, as you said a little while ago, we haven't seen the bill. And it's absolutely preposterous. And I think the American people would say so, for us to rush to Christmas to pass a 2,000-page bill that's been written in secret in the Democratic leader's office, and we haven't seen it. We don't know what it costs, and we don't know how it affects Americans. Now, that's what we don't know. Second, what we do know is the bill takes effect in 4 years, 2014. So the only reason they're rushing to pass the bill before Christmas is they're afraid the American people will find out what's in it. And what's in it are Medicare cuts, tax increases, premium increases, and as the governors of both parties have said, they're shifting $25 billion of cost to the states, which will raise college tuition, raise state taxes, and in our state of Tennessee, the governor is considering releasing felons from prison in order to pay the bill.
So, Senator, it's safe to say they're not going to get your vote on this bill, but what is your sense, talking to your colleagues from Maine, Susan Collins and Olympia Snowe? Is there a chance that, I know they've been lobbying really hard, especially on Senator Snowe, is there a chance that she eventually comes on board?
I can't speak for other senators. I shouldn't do that. But Senator Snowe has been the most outspoken senator on either side of saying, what's the rush? I mean, she has pointed out, the benefits in this bill don't take effect in 2014, so let's get it right. Governor Schwarzenegger said this week, I support health care reform, but I don't support giving California another $3 billion in Medicaid costs at a time we have a $19 billion deficit. So I'll have to let them speak for themselves.
But why don't you speak to, sir, the importance that you see it politically for the Republicans, for your side of the aisle, to stick together in a full 40-person opposition? Is that very important to you?
Well, it is important to me, and we're very unified and have been. But the reason we are is we see the Democrats determined to pursue a political kamikaze mission toward a historic mistake. Bad for them, but worse for our country. And so Republicans, we have many different views in our caucus, but we all believe this is a bad bill. We should put it aside and start over, taking individual steps to reduce health care costs. This increases costs.
Now, Senator, what is interesting about this process over the next few days, besides the snowstorm coming to Washington and the 24-hour schedule that Senator Reid seems to have you on, is right now we're facing not one, not two, but 3 60-vote threshold votes on health care reform. Now, are Republicans really going to force that? Or once it becomes clear that they have 60 votes to pass this, and once they have that first vote, are you still going to force another 90 hours of what is essentially a debate that won't amount to anything?
Well, of course we are. And of course it amounts to something. I mean, every time the American people have gotten a good look at this bill, they've not liked it. That's what every poll from Gallup to CNN to every Wall Street Journal yesterday showed us. So it's our duty, really, to make sure that the American people can see the bill, know what it costs, and know how it affects them before we vote on it, and to remind the American people there's absolutely no reason to rush it through.
So you'll take it right up to Christmas Eve, late Christmas Eve that evening, even though it is clear that they have the votes?
We're ready to stay to Valentine's Day if we need to, and it's not clear they have the votes. They don't even have the bill, much less have the votes. I mean, think how preposterous that is. This is a bill that affects 16% of the economy. It costs $2.5 trillion over 10 years, and they're insisting that we vote on it before Christmas, and we don't even have the bill. They don't even know what's in it.
I just want to know if there are certain things that can be tweaked that would actually start making it attractive to at least some members of your conference on the Republican side. If there was a better reach out from Democrats on the issue of tort reform, do you think that they would be able to court a few Republicans to this legislation?
Well, it might help. But we've offered amendments to try to improve the legislation. For example, we believe if you're going to cut $1 trillion out of Medicare that seniors depend on over 10 years, you ought to spend it on Medicare. If you're going to cut grandma's Medicare, spend it on grandma. Don't give it to somebody else. So Senator McCain offered an amendment. Let's take any savings from Medicare and spend it on Medicare, which its trustees say is going broke in 2015. That was defeated by the Democrats.
Senator, quick final question. Just you guys voted late last night on this defense appropriations bill, about $4 billion in earmarks. Are you ever going to stop this stuff?
Well, there are good earmarks and there are bad earmarks, and we've started to stop the bad earmarks. Earmarks are simply Congress saying this is what we think is important. And what I believe we should do is make sure that none of those are in the middle of the night, that all of those are approved by committees, and all of those are approved by the Senate. And therefore, if I put something in that creates a chapel for military soldiers returning from the 101st Airborne Division in Iraq, that the commanding general there tells me their top priority, that's an earmark, but that's a good one.
Senator Lamar Alexander, Republican of Tennessee, thank you very much for being with us today.